in 2 to 3 starts for Trey Lance so far, he's ran the ball 13 or more times.
It's not, I don't like that game plan. I personally don't like that.
You want to say he ran the ball because of the monsoon? Well, last year against Arizona, why is he running the ball with all these quarterback design runs? He's a quarterback, not a running back. Let him play from the pocket and stop designing these. That's why you have running backs. That's why you have Deebo Samuel.
Well, they didn't have running backs in that game.
They didn't. But you know what? Jeff Wilson Jr. is on this roster for a reason.
Yeah.
And you gave him 9 carries. All right? Jordan Mason is up, dressed. Why is he not getting carries? I don't need to see my quarterback taking multiple shots left and right all game long like he did last year at Arizona. Hurt his knee against Arizona last year because he ran the ball so damn much. All right? He's going to get hurt with this type of game plan. You drafted him because you believe he could be a great pocket quarterback. Now let's see it from the pocket.
Well, it's not just how you're using him, it's who you're throwing the ball to and who you're utilizing. Again, to sit here and go, in the second half of that game, Jeff Wilson Jr. got twice the amount of touches than Ayuk and Deebo combined.
That's a problem.
Well, I pivot back to the coach.
Right.
And you could say, oh, well, there were plays to be had and Trey didn't hit them. Okay, I'll meet you halfway.
Right.
What about a couple of design plays for Ayuk?
I'm not going to lie. This is something I'm going to be monitoring moving forward. The Shanahans ran RG3 into the ground.
So you're afraid he's going to run him into the ground?
It's something I'm looking at.
Okay.
I hope they learn their lesson from RG3. I really do. Too many carries on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Shanahan has to be better. And that's one thing we haven't touched on. Shanahan, and I like Shanahan as a head coach. I do. I don't believe he's great yet. A lot of people say he's a genius. I'm not there yet with him.
I think he's really good.
He's a really good play caller.
I think he's really good.
But I'm not going to call him great yet. He got a pass for Super Bowl 54 from a lot of people. A lot of people gave him a pass, and we went straight to Jimmy Garoppolo. I was critical of Shanahan in the way he called that game. I did not think he called a good game. Mostert didn't carry the ball in the first quarter. How? He just ran for 200 yards against the Green Bay Packers. Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball 4 times in the last minute 49. Why? You got the ball in 3 timeouts at midfield. Run the freaking football in that position and don't let Mahomes touch it anymore. I thought he didn't have a great game. NFC Championship. We know about the sequence, the 4-play sequence that killed him against Chicago. 4-play sequence, right? You don't go for it on 4th and 1. You punt it away. Tart drops the pick. 30 yards later, Odell Beckham Jr., 45 yards later when you sack on a 15-yarder. But I don't think Shanahan had a great game in that one. I don't think he had a great game plan. Shanahan has to be better in how he uses Trey Lance. He has to. It's a big year for Shanahan.
I've told you before the year, I actually think it's a bigger year for Shanahan than it is for Trey because Shanahan's the guy who's going to be leading Trey to the trough.
Exactly.
I mean, he's the guy who's the architect that I'm hoping to put him in the position.
Yep.
Didn't we say similar things about Andy Reid for a long time regarding Kyle Shanahan?
No doubt.
Clock management, end of game situations,
decision making,
winning the big one, even though we kind of dismiss all the little games or smaller games leading up to the big game.
The fact that Andy Reid made 4 straight NFC championships and 3 of them with James Thrash and Todd Pinkston as his starting wide receivers, he should get a badge of honor. He should get a medal for that.
But in real time, I don't think we looked at it that way.
No, we didn't.
I think we looked at him as a big choker.
Hey, Todd Pinkston was sinking ESPN 2K5.
All right, here you go,
Spadoni. And Freddie Mitchell.
He was. Freddie Mitchell in the slot. Freddie Mitchell's a great UCLA Bruin.
I don't know how many guys get opportunities to overcome that. Like Andy Reid's an outlier. He went a decade with the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's a decade with the Kansas City Chiefs, it feels like. And he's going to coach as long as he wants, right? And he's had an opportunity to win with a variety of quarterbacks. I don't know if Shanahan's going to get that kind of a leash. I don't know if he's going to get that kind of longevity here. Well, but the reality is he does need to tighten up some things.
He's got to tighten it up. All right, real quick before we take the calls. Real quick, Odyssey Sports First and Pod. New national NFL podcast hosted by Danny Parkins from The Score in Chicago and Andrew Filipponi, the fan in Pittsburgh. Take a pair of best friends separated by 500 miles, but united by their love of football. Give them a podcast and you get a First and Pod. Danny Parkins and Andrew Filipponi will get you ready for week 2 and with in-depth previews on every game. Give them 40 minutes and they'll give you the league. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Follow First and Pod on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Let's go out to our man JD, the Hawk Hater and Sack.
Hey,
then we'll get to David and Aaron in a second here. JD, hope to see you Sunday at the home opener against Seattle. What's happening, JD Hawk Hater?
Morning, fellas. And yeah, I'll definitely be there Sunday at the home opener. You have to be, it's tradition. But Bonta, I heard you ask, does anyone still hate the Seahawks? And when you say that on those airwaves, that's like putting out a bat signal for your boy. So I had to call in. And I don't care that Russell Wilson is gone. I've hated the Seattle Seahawks since the moment they joined the NFC West in 2002, whether it's Matt Hasselbeck and Sean Alexander, Tarvarius Jackson, Russell Wilson. I don't care. I cannot stand that team, whether it's Pete Carroll chomping his gum up and down the sidelines, whether it's those hideous jerseys. I don't care. I cannot stand Seattle. I cannot stand that belligerent, insufferable fan base that they have up there in the Pacific Northwest.
The 12s.
They will forever be known as the 2012. And you know what? The Seattle Seahawks fans and their team, they celebrated beating up on a bad 49ers team last decade for how many years? I'm looking forward to dancing on their graves going forward these next couple seasons.
I love that.
What a great call. Let me give you a name from the past who I couldn't stand.
I love that.
Lofi Tatupu.
Oh, he
Remember
was great
him?
I do. He was great at USC, though. He was great at USC.
I hated him. Daryl Jackson?
Yeah, I couldn't stand him.
Some of those
Sean Alexander,
Mike Holmgren versions.
Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander. I couldn't stand them. Who's the wide receivers they had? They had a couple wide receivers.
Daryl Jackson.
No, Daryl Jackson, but it was another guy.
Was it Deion Branch?
Deion Branch for a second, but it was another guy they had. I just couldn't stand. I'll look it up
Golden
here.
Tate was one that I couldn't stand.
Golden Tate was just, oh my God. Thank God for Percy Harvin.
I told you guys that I'm old, and I still believe that the Rams would eventually turn back into our natural rival.
But they had to move back to L.A.
Yeah, agreed. But I still had those feelings for Seattle over the weekend because I'm like, I hate Russ so much.
Yeah.
But then seeing Pete Carroll celebrate, I hate him simultaneously. As long as Pete's there, I will hate Seattle.
I know a lot of Niner fans rooted for Seattle to beat Russell Wilson, but I was rooting for the Broncos. I wanted Seattle to lose that game so bad. And it's well within the fans' right to boo Russell Wilson. But you imagine us booing Joe Montana?
Well, no.
You imagine us booing, anybody who came back to town? Hold on, we got a message here. The Morning Roast. Who's the biggest rival? Oh, that's our Twitter poll. Sam Lubman was like adamant. Go to the Twitter poll. Who is the bigger rival for the 49ers right now? Seattle or L.A.? Go to the Morning Roast 957. Right now, we've been arguing about that for years. The Rams are close because of that NFC Championship game. And McVay. But Pete Carroll's still up there chewing his gum. And I guarantee you, Shasky, the minute you see him on the sideline, he's going to be on the hash marks doing this. Yeah, and he's going to have that long sleeve on with the walkie-talkie, and he has those dad shoes on.
I know.
What are those?
With the same color as their jerseys.
Yeah, always.
The Nike Monarchs.
The Monarchs.
I thought they were Sauconys or something.
No, those are called the Dad Barbecue ones.
Let's go to Aaron in Oakland, the Dad Barbecue ones. Aaron
Nate
in Oakland.
Burleson was the wide receiver you were thinking about.
No, not him. I'm telling you.
His dad's from Sunnydale.
All right, he is. That's why I've got to be cool.
Swampy
He called us. Remember, he called us. Yeah, you saw him at the barbershop.
Yeah.
Actually, David and Ediak. Then we'll get to Aaron. What's up, David? What's happening?
Hey guys, good morning. Bishop Boy, do you remember Kerry Wood?
Oh, yeah.
The Price pitcher for the Cubs?
Yeah, him and Mark Price.
The team ruined, the team ruined that guy, okay? He had a lot going for him. Sadly, I have a feeling that the Niners, Kyle Shanahan specifically, is about to do the same thing with Trey Lance. Okay, the way they're using the guy, I don't think they're using him properly. I think they're putting him in a situation where he's eventually going to lose confidence in himself, and he's going to lose whatever progress he has made. Last year, he had the whole year. I don't know what they were doing with him, but this thing with his throwing motion and in the short pass, I can't believe that during the whole year they couldn't work with him trying to correct that. Why are they trying to correct that right now? It gives me the impression that Kyle Shanahan is kind of like, one of those TV chefs, okay? You see them cooking these really good dishes. They look real yummy. They look real good. But they didn't prepare the ingredients. They didn't season all the steaks or the chicken. Somebody else did. And with Shanahan, if you look at his history, most of the success he's had is with quarterbacks that somebody else has picked and somebody else has developed. It seems to me like he's really not developing Trey Lance the way that he should. The team has failed Trey Lance. I think he's the future of the team. But at these rates, they're probably going to ruin the guy.
Can I?
DJ Hackett, by the way, is a wide receiver I'm thinking of. For some reason, I couldn't say DJ because everybody on the Comcast Business Text line trying to guess the wide receiver. We all know I hate Doug Baldwin. Can't stand him. But DJ Hackett's the guy.
I think it's.
Then they had JoJo Vicious. Oh, my gosh.
It's a fair point to question whether, they're ruining the guy or not. Like, I get thinking that way. I don't love him running the way he is. Let me just take a step back. It's too early to make any sweeping indictments on what Shanahan's doing with Lance long term. But I understand being worried because I get worried. When Roquan landed on his shoulder, I was like, oh, my God, that could separate a shoulder. That's how Alex Smith got hurt.
By the way, that play, Jeff Wilson Jr. completely whiffed on the Roquan Smith. You should see the blocks that the Niners whiffed on this Sunday.
Yeah, well, they were the number one ranked. PFF ranked them number one in
but
blocking.
ESPN had them 17th.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing I would say about the running.
Can I say this about Shanahan, too? Is it fair to say that quarterbacks have regressed under him in San Francisco?
It feels like in San Francisco?
Jimmy Garoppolo has regressed under Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, boy.
Nick Mullins regressed under Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, Nick Mullins is like, we're talking about
so what? There was
a backup.
There was a segment of the fan base who thought he should start over Jimmy Garoppolo. We took a lot of calls on that, Shasky.
I don't know.
CJ Beathard.
How do you quantify that? Let me ask you how you quantify that.
Guys just not getting better, taking the next step.
Doesn't look the same.
Doesn't look the same. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, when he first came on the scene, looked like he could do no wrong. Looked like he could do no wrong. Is it fair to say that he regressed under Shanahan? And it's maybe not all Shanahan's fault.
Well, I would go back to what level could those guys go to athletically, cerebrally, that would make them be better players? Like maybe he got the most out of them and they kind of tapped out.
Did you ever believe that Jimmy could be the franchise quarterback of the 49ers?
Of course I did.
Yeah, I did too.
Of course I did. I do believe it's not either or. I think there's a combination of both of them. I think Shanahan and him and their relationship absolutely factors into it. Yeah. And I also think Jimmy Garoppolo's psyche or injury history, whatever you want to call it, that also factors into it.
No doubt. But that's something, I think it's a fair question, though.
It is fair.
It's a fair question because we want to see Trey go to the next. Because a lot of people give the Shanahans credit for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins played like 3 or 4 games under the Shanahans. He really took off under McVay and Jay Gruden.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
He took off then. That was a Shanahan.
I saw a tweet last night, and this kind of brings us back to the Trey and Jimmy thing. As everybody's losing their mind, especially national media. Oh, my God, Jimmy should be the quarterback. Matt Hegan, who's our program director, put this out there, and I started to think about it, and I want your opinion on it.
I saw the tweet. I know what you're talking about.
I will never, ever think differently about this. Bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back will stunt Trey Lance's growth. I don't want to hear that he is not the guy. He is the guy. It would be a distraction to anyone to have him there. In the end, the Niners will regret it. What's your opinion on that?
I told you yesterday, before we get back out to the lines, I told you yesterday. I couldn't help, but every TV timeout, my eyes shifted to the sideline to see where number 10 was. Every dead ball, or whenever they were in the huddle, I'd look to see where number 10 was standing. What is he doing during timeouts? Is he throwing the football? Is he playing catch? Is he talking to Trey? My eyes were fixated on Jimmy Garoppolo. I couldn't help it. What is Jimmy doing? Is he laughing? Is he smiling? Is he teaching? Is he educating? What is he doing?
See it.
I couldn't help it. And so the Niners are baking on their culture, which has been really good under Shanahan and John Lynch. This locker room did not break last year. They deserve a lot of credit for that. They were 3-5. Sky's fallen. You draft Jimmy Garoppolo's replacement. We're screaming for Trey Lance. And the locker room did not break. And they went on a memorable journey. That was a fun ride into the NFC Championship game. We lost a lot of years off our life because of that season.
Well, the margins were so thin down the stretch.
They were so thin down the stretch. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun at the end of the day. They're picking on their culture. And the noise is just think about your reaction when Jimmy Garoppolo restructured his contract to come back to San Francisco. It feels like, it does, and I've talked to people out of market about this. It feels like they did botch the Jimmy Garoppolo situation by bringing him back. It feels like just the whole all season, and I get the surgery compromise things. But there is going to be that noise no matter what, every single day, every single second. We said it. Every completion, every incompletion. Jimmy would have made that throw. Jimmy would have won that game.
But wouldn't we be doing that whether he was on the roster or not?
Not to this degree.
I would agree
Not to this degree. He's on the football team. And people are already ready to ask the question, should you bench Trey for Jimmy? It's already there.
I underestimated it. I did. I thought we could be patient for at least a couple weeks. I was wrong.